Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Charlie Hale, and this is my new show, Hail to the King, produced by me, filmed by me, and hopefully enjoyed by you. Now, let's get all the pleasantries out of the way early. I mean, you guys can definitely tell that this is a new show. I mean, let's get all the skeletons out of the closet here. My set here is, well, non-existent. My intro, hardly better. And guess where this lighting is coming from? Oh, you guys are clever. It's coming from a desk lamp. That's right, a desk lamp. That is where we are now, ladies and gentlemen. Although the more computer savvy amongst you have probably noticed simply by the fact that, this is episode 1. This is the first episode on this entire channel. So you guys have already been cued in, this is a new show. Unless, of course, you are watching this from, I don't know, years down the line where I am world famous, in which case, welcome back. This is what we started with. Alright, now that that little episode of me jerking myself off is out of the way, let's get to the meat here. Let's get to me explaining what Hail to the King is. It's pretty simple, really. I'm a scrawny bitch, and I'm going to be griping about what I see in the news. Now, the way I'll usually start these little bits off is by talking about a story that really caught my eye as far as in the internet goes. This could range from a disaster film or something politically oriented, or video game news, or something that was just way out of left field, or, God forbid, celebrity news. For instance, Taiwan seems to be dealing with its own personal disaster as a turboprop plane has crashed into a residential building in the Penghu Islands. Dozens are feared dead, injured folks have already been sent off to the ER, and the president of TransAsia Airways, Chui Yi-chung, has publicly apologized at a press conference to the families of those who've been injured. Which, don't get me wrong, my thoughts and feelings are obviously with those who have been injured, but it seems like kind of a no-shit moment when one of your planes, as the president of one of these companies, one of your planes crashes in to a public area. I mean, you'd almost think that the I'm sorry is kind of a given. I don't know, maybe that's just me. Oh, actually, that brings me to the second part of our little show here. Dark humor is going to be here. We're going to get a little bit of a dark laugh at shit that happens. Nothing's off limits, nothing is sacred. If something has a little bit of a ha-ha moment to it, I'm probably gonna laugh at it. If that's not your thing, there's a channel out there for you. I don't know. You guys can deal with that. And with that little disclaimer out of the way, let's segue into something completely unrelated. Video game news. This one kind of jumped out at me just because it seemed so unnecessary. EA has come out and said that their new Star Wars Battlefront game is in no way tied to Episode 7 of Star Wars. Again, also coming out shortly. Although, the EA spokesperson has said that they prefer it to be close. Which, again, seems kind of pointless. It's as if you're saying, we didn't want this to happen, but we're trying to make it happen anyway. Now, I did want to get some political news in today. So, as I was looking through your, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, pretty much most everybody is currently worrying about the current conflict regarding the Malaysian plane. One got shot down, huge crisis over it. And as much as I would love to go into the Malaysia flight crisis, I have noticed that everyone and their grandmother is apparently beating this particular dead horse further into a pulp. So I decided I was going to look for something else. And granted, while Fox News is still covering a tragedy at the moment, particularly the uprisings in the Middle East as of right now, they're covering it from a different angle. And that angle is, how is it all of our opponents' fault? Essentially, they're making the contention that pretty much any journalist that's been talking about this situation has kind of gotten burned by backlash. And they're kind of pointing a big particular finger at Jon Stewart. The quote is, "The backlash was captured by Jon Stewart, who was roundly rebuked for a Daily Show bit about the conflict with Hamas that made serious if satiric, points, such as that the Israelis are warning Gaza residents of bombings with non-lethal explosions, quote, in quotations, plus phone calls and leaflets, by the way, end quote, and the Gazans have nowhere to evacuate. And a columnist from the Times of Israel named David Horowitz ripped into Stewart for kicking off the segment by saying, and I quote, "As the aerial bombardment from both sides continues, tastes great, more killing." Okay. Mr. Horowitz continues with this scathing remark of Jon Stewart. He's begun with talk of Israel being set to invade Gaza, but without any cited reason, such as, say, Hamas being a terrorist organization with a notorious track record of suicide bombings, individual killings, kidnappings, and incessant rocket fire. And second, because the implication here is that the combatants, Israel and Hamas, are both happy to be back killing again, and that is just plain false. Now, don't get me wrong, this is definitely kind of a sore spot. I mean, this whole thing just got started, but what Fox News, which goes on to ridicule Jon Stewart for what he said, and what the Israel Times is kind of forgetting here, is that Jon Stewart is a comedian. He's a satirical commentator. His whole job is to take shit that he sees on the news, these horrible, dark stories, and, political problems, and all this shit, and his job is to make it funny. His job is to point out the humor in it. That is what he does. That is who he is. And trying to get pissed off at him for the shit he says is stupid. I mean, getting angry at Jon Stewart for the shit he's saying right now makes about as much sense as getting angry at South Park for making that one episode regarding New Jersey where they allied up with Al-Qaeda to fight a mutual enemy. Yes, is it offensive to the September 11th attacks? You know what? Yeah, I'll give you that one. That being said, it's not coming from a place of malice. These guys understand that this is a rough situation. Seeing humor in something dark is not bad. It's how people cope with this shit. But hey, I'm not the only one with opinion here. I've got the links down below. Feel free to comment if you want to start a debate over what you guys think Jon Stewart should or should not have done, whether you think Fox is justified. I personally don't. You guys might have a different opinion. And on that note, we're going to end it here. This is Charlie Hale. This has been Hail to the King. If you like what you've seen here, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Hey, I can always use the fans. But I will see you next week.